Hello and welcome to Oulton Park in the heart of the scenic Cheshire countryside. Now this place may look picturesque and idyllic, but don't be fooled. This challenging circuit is set to test our GT cars and drivers to the limits today as we take to the track for the 5th round of the 2012 GT Cup Championship. Group 1 features a great mix of cars this weekend with some exciting new entries joining the grid. With models from Audi, Ferrari, Porsche, McLaren, Ginetta, BMW and Chevron going wheel to wheel, we should be in for some good close racing. So let's go and check out some of the new machinery we have joining the grid. Well, Jim, it's fantastic to finally see you in the McLaren. We were hoping that we'd see you a lot sooner than this. What's been going on this season?
Slight issues with the car, working hard to get them resolved, but it looks like we're getting there now. This is the first race. Haven't done the race yet, but we've done qualifying. This is the first qualifying we've done since October versus British GT, but the cars had little issues and I've been busy with work and we're getting them resolved. The car feels good. The car, when it's going, is absolutely awesome. It's just keeping the reliability, which I think we're working hard with McLaren to sort out, so it's a good future for the car, I think.
Oh, well, I bet after all this waiting, you're chomping at the bit to get out there and actually do some racing in her.
Absolutely, it's 9-10 months now, so I'm looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to it very much so.
You're not out in the GT3 this weekend. Instead, you've stolen your dad's car.
Yeah, no, I think the decision was made this morning by one of the team bosses that I'd obviously switch to my dad's car without mine being running, but we're hoping that we're going to have another engine in by race 2 today.
Certainly for race 1, you're going to be running in Group 2, and your dad's got another different car that he'll be running in, also in Group 2.
Yeah, no, we've got a very kind customer, Darren Nelson from Chevron, who said that I can borrow his car if I'm using my dad's. So, we're all still at racing. It's going to be good fun anyway. We'll see what happens.
Well, Nigel, you've bought another lovely new entry to the grid this weekend, the Audi R8. How long have you had this car?
About 3 weeks now. Yeah, we bought it from United Autosports in an ex-British GT car, and so far so good. It's lovely to drive.
Yeah, somewhat different to the Aquila that you've been used to driving.
Yes, it's not quite such a brute as that. It's would be probably 100 horsepower down, but I hope with it's open to such more series of racing. So hopefully we're going to go up a step now.
Absolutely immaculate Audi R8 then of Nigel Mustill. He's got a little bit of work to do as we take a check at the grid with Jim Geddy in that beautiful McLaren in pole position. Richard Chamberlain alongside on the front row of the grid. Derek Johnson and Jordan Witt lockout row 2 with Jordan Witt heading up Group 3 and John Saunders the foremost of the Group 3 cars with Peter Rowbottom completing the exotic grid in the GT Cup Championship. It's a rolling start as always. The lights out on the pace car and Jim Geddy taking the responsibility of just bringing the field down to crawling pace. He'll then look to get as good a jump as possible when those red lights flash out. The race gets underway, but he's alongside the ultra powerful Porsche of Richard Chamberlain. There's Derek Johnson who's trying to get up onto the tail of the front rows. Away we go. That's a superstar from Chamberlain who gets the power down. He squeezes Jim Geddy and he goes through. Chamberlain snatches the lead of the old tall corner. Super move from Chamberlain. Jim Geddy really didn't want to give that to him, but Chamberlain was insistent. He went through and was able to wrestle his way into the lead of the race. And we ride in car with Derek Johnson as they exit Cascades, accelerating on towards Island Bend for the first time. Here they come, so it's the Porsche leading the McLaren, leading the Ferrari, leading the Chevron. It's what the GT Cup Championship is all about, multi-mark GT sprint racing its very best. And this is very tight amongst the leading trio as they break into Shell Oil's corner with the ominous looking McLaren, the Jim Geddy. Filling the mirrors of Chamberlain, but Geddy makes there, he slides across the grass and through goes Derek Johnson, snatches second position. That was lightning quick reactions from Jim Geddy to save that from being a very expensive moment. So he's in third position. Peter Rowbottom having a nice battle with David Witt. David running with a different livery this weekend. We used to see him in the bright yellow car, which his son Jordan's in. So David having a tussle with Peter Rowbottom. Peter's Ferrari getting better and better with each round as Richard Chamberlain leads the way. And at the moment, Derek Johnson is working very hard to try and stay in touch with him, which he's just about doing. And Jim Geddy latched onto the tail of Johnson. So into Druids they come. Lights ablaze, the McLaren from Jim Geddy. as he pursues the Ferrari 458 of Derek Johnson. Johnson in turn trying to use the Ferrari's agility through the corners to bring down the advantage of the race leader Richard Chamberlain, which he's been very successful in doing. He brings it out even further into the braking zone at Lodge Corner. Jim Geddy in hot pursuit behind him. In car once more is Derek Johnson as we complete the first lap of the race into lap 2, into the braking zone for Oulton, down through the gears. Super on board shot now with Derek Johnson with all the data as well and the telemetry that the car's pumping out as the race progresses into Cascades. Then just the moderate 77, 80 miles an hour that he's going through Cascades as the David With and Peter Rowbottom battle continues. Really nice tussle this one amongst the Group 3 runners. At the moment it's just in honour of Rowbottom. It's kicking up the dust comes the leading trio into Island Bend, and Jim Geddy is looking increasingly anxious to try and get past Derek Johnson. He shadows the inside line there into the hairpin. He couldn't quite do it though. Johnson, experienced enough, a wily competitor, able to cover his line, but then Jim Geddy is right back onto Derek Johnson's case into Britain's. You can't really overtake there, but slightly ragged exit from Britain's would give the opportunity into Hizzies. There's Colin Broster, he leads Group 3 at the moment. Colin having a very successful season in the GT Cup Championship. Into Hizzies then, the leading trio. Constantine are up on each other, and Richard Chamberlain really having his work cut out at the moment to keep Johnson behind him as they accelerate up over Clay Hill. This is where the Porsche just able to move a little bit clearer of Derek Johnson, who crests the hill 150 miles an hour for Derek Johnson at that point on the circuit. And then into Druids with Jim Geddy still an ever-present shadow right on his tail. Accelerating then on towards Lodge Corner, down through the gears, really heavy braking zone this, which plays into the hands of the Ferrari, and he thinks about moving to the inside of Chamberlain. He can't quite do it, moves back up through the gears, puts his foot down and into start another lap. This leading group of cars providing some great entertainment. This is one of the closest races we've had this season, and it has still got a lot of drama to go, I feel, because Jim Geddy is anxious to get through, and this is why he is in third position, dropping the wheel on the grass. About 100 miles an hour he did that, as Nigel Mustill's absolutely beautiful Audi R8 continues well up the order. He's fighting for a top 6th position as the leading group of cars still very little to choose between them. Into Hizzies they come, and Chamberlain is just driving the perfect race at the moment in terms of playing to that car's strength. He's not pushing any harder through the corners than he needs to, but then when he's able to plant his right foot, he's able to ease the Porsche away from the Ferrari and the McLaren behind him. They're coming up onto the tail of Peter Rowbottom, because the GT Cup Championship, of course, runs with the 3 distinct groups, which are very competitive within each group, but then generally each group a little bit quicker than the one behind it. So we've got these 3 Group 1 cars battling and covering the inside line into Lodge Corner is Richard Chamberlain. We've got Derek Johnson right in his tail, lick of flame from Chamberlain, who slows, and Johnson's through and it's lead the race as they streak over dearly and into the pit lane. That is such a shame. Richard Chamberlain peels off and out of the race. So this releases Derek Johnson to try and put some doubt between himself and Jim Geddy. I think Jim Geddy now sees it as a real opportunity to try and move through and take the lead of the race away from Derek Johnson. Coming to a halt in the pit lane is Richard Chamberlain as the battle for the lead continues and is nonetheless ferocious despite the demise of Richard Chamberlain. And Geddy in the McLaren really closing up on Derek Johnson, running so close to those tyre stacks at the chicane at Britain's, over Hilltop on towards Hizzies, and Johnson moving the Ferrari to the middle of the road. It's going to make this difficult for Jim Geddy. Now where could Geddy go through? Well, between now and the end of the lap, Lodge Corner is the obvious overtaking opportunity, and Derek Johnson will be wise to that. It means that he needs to get a super run now out of Hizzies, which he's done, over Clay Hill, and then more crucially out of Druids to make sure that McLaren can't draw alongside into Lodge Corner. But I have to say that Jim Geddy is looking very, very strong here, and Geddy closes on Johnson through Druids. That's not what Derek would have wanted. Now, if Geddy can draw alongside, he should be able to go through here, and that's just what he does. Johnson gives him a car's width, no more than that, but Jim Geddy on the brakes into Lodge Corner. Through he goes into the lead of the race. Nothing that Derek Johnson could do about that. And will Johnson see the McLaren disappearing well? Will he be able to stay in touch with him as they complete another lap into Oulton Corner? Johnson works the wheel of the Ferrari, trying to stay in touch with the immaculate McLaren of Jim Geddy. Here is the Group 2 leader, Jordan Whitt, and Whitt reasonably secure in the lead of the group. Seeing Loggy, who's currently running 2nd in the group. Jordan Whitt, a race winner already this year in his other Chevron. He's now going to be potentially a group winner here at Oulton Park. The car more commonly campaigned by Father David, and then the Group 3 leader, Colin Broster. And Colin doing a very, very good job at the moment. He's clear of Nigel Mustel in the Audi R8 by just a couple of corners for Liam Geddy to negotiate, for Jim Geddy rather, to negotiate before he gets to the checkered flag. And Geddy into Lodge Corner then for the final time. It's been a fighting drive from Geddy, and he is going to claim his first win in the 2012 GT Cup Championship, Oulton Park. Super performance from Jim Geddy. He claims the spoils of victory. The McLaren looks spectacular. Jordan Witt well set for third in the race overall, and Group 2 honours as he rounds Lodge Corner for the final time, accelerates the checkered flag to the light of the team on the pit wall. So it's the Group 2 victory for Jordan Witt. And Group 3 honours, well, Colin Broster has just been in a really rich reign of form throughout the course of the 2012 season. It continues at Oulton Park, and he is going to be a fairly emphatic winner in Group 3. And that's also good enough for 5th place in the race overall, which underlines Colin's pace, and he's pleased with that. Door open, waving to the crowd almost immediately. So let's take a look at the results, with the win for Jim Geddy, 2nd place for Derek Johnson, 3rd place for Jordan Witt, Ian Loggy in 4th, Broster 5th wins Group 3, Nigel Mustel steering the Audi through to complete the top 6. In terms of the group results, well, Group 1, Jim Geddy from Derek Johnson and Nigel Mustel. In Group 2, Jordan Witt claims the honours from Ian Loggy. And Group 3, Colin Broster won it from John Saunders and Chris Bentley.
Well, that was a fantastically close first race of the day. Such a shame to see Richard Chamberlain drop out so early on, but a great result for Jim Geddy in the McLaren. Join us after the break when we'll be finding out if Richard Chamberlain will be back out for race 2, and of course how 60 kilos of ballast will affect the McLaren in the next race.